So this is probably the simplest flyback transformer driver I've found on the internet. It's just a TN3055 TO3 package transistor, mainly for heat. I guess you could use TO220 with a giant heatsink, anything. And then you have your flyback transformer with a third winding put on it for feeding back. And this is essentially, I think it's like a type of relaxation oscillator, but essentially this resistor divider here basically biases the transistor on. When that turns on, it puts a current through the primary. Finally, when the transistor turns on so hard that it saturates, that extra voltage that was delivered to the base, that extra current actually, is no longer there. So the transistor turns off somewhat, so it will conduct less. And it sort of bounces between those two states, turning all the way on until the transistor saturates, to maybe on just a little bit or not at all. And so in fact you have an oscillator, and the oscillation frequency is determined entirely by the inductance of these two windings. Because if this inductance is huge on the primary, it will take a long time for that current to build up in the winding before the transistor reaches saturation. But if it's really small, it'll be much faster, so the frequency will be much higher. In this high voltage secondary, I have plugged into a standard voltage multiplier circuit. I think I'll just show that. This is the actual voltage multiplier that I've got here. Just a bunch of capacitors, a bank of diodes in there. The multiplier I speak of is this type. We have diodes, sort of back to back, and you have capacitors. The type over there has multiple diodes in parallel, I think for current. And it's rated at only 2500 volts on the input, so I can't just give it whatever I want. I forgot to mention the turns ratio is 1 to 1 to 25. So the feedback winding is the same turns as the primary, maybe with a little bit worse coupling because I just wound it straight over top. Very crude, but you don't really need tight coupling on that. It's just a feedback winding. There's no real current flowing in there.